Welcome. I bid you welcome. John Clauser, Johnny Metal, the Metal Dad, coming to you from my music corner of the world. Welcome to another edition of Mortification Monday, that little series where I talk about the Jesus metal band from Australia, Mortification, led by bassist and lyricist and singer Steve Rowe. And today we are going to look at 2002's Relentless. Now, we show you the um, I'll go ahead and show you the Soundmass uh, reissue that this came out in 2021. Um, just little differences here. You can kind of see maybe a little bit, um, not too much, but you can definitely tell that the logo is the original logo here, whereas they were using this one for a little while. Um, yeah, let's get into this. So we have some changes in Mortification. Lincoln Bowen has stepped aside to concentrate on family and a teaching position he had recently gotten. So in the when they were touring in 2001, they Steve Rowe came across a Canadian guitar player here by the name of Jeff Lewis. Okay. Now, Jeff Lewis would also go on to doing he had done work for songs like bands like Serpent's Breath, Sympathy, and currently doing one called Abolishment of Hate. Um, He'd also done some other different Journey studio work for some other bands at the time. Um, he would come to Australia for a while, and he and Steve would kind of hash out some stuff. He does have a co-write on a few songs on this album. I'll go through that as we go. But let's kind of just play out the rest of the characters here. So of course, we got Steve here on as usual. We have Adam Zafarisi here back on drums. Now we have this guy here named Mick Jelinek. Now he actually doesn't play on the album, but you'll also notice that he's also on the album cover on the back. Um, he was brought in right at the tail end of after they recorded the album, and they got to do at least according to Steve's book, one gig together as a four-piece. Jeff Lewis, unfortunately, being from Canada, his family ties were very strong back home, and the story goes that he winds up going back to Canada. Mick, who had filled in on rhythm guitar for that one show as a four-piece, stays on and would play on the next few albums. So, what do we have here? We have a pretty thrashing little banging little album here. Um, First song is just it's just an intro that leads into a song called Web of Fire. That intro is a very majestic march-like feel. Um, Web of Fire, this is one of the co-writes with Jeff Lewis. This is just an absolute thrasher, kind of in a Slayer feel almost. Very, in that kind of vein. Again, just you're gonna hear me like a broken record with a lot of Mortification songs talking about the fighting the lies of Satan that he always wants to come into. He likes to entangle you in that web, like a spider's web, that just it has you entangled in his lair, and Christ will set you free from that. Very strong opening song. God-Shaped Void is the next one. This is another co-write with Jeff. Here again, we tried all the things that we try to fill our lives with, whether it's and sometimes it's not always good things. We some of us turn to alcohol, some of us turn to drugs, some of us turn to sex, music, comic books, movies, work, um, whatever it is, sports. There's all these different things that we try to fill our hearts and our souls with, but the song here says there's only one thing that can fill that void in your life, and that is God, and that is belief in Jesus. This is another very strong, straight ahead rocker, nice maiden-like section in the song. Priests of the other underground. This is kind of like a thank you song from Steve to his fans. Basically, just keep fighting for that cause of Christ. through the sound of and the music, the metal music that the Mortification and other bands like Mortification does. This is a really good stomper of a song. This is where the title track, the name of the album comes in, Relentless, kind of just a stomping chorus kind of feel. You get another kind of Maiden-like feel in the solo section. But yeah, this is just a probably one of my favorite tracks on the album. Bring Release. This is kind of a slow grinder, again, encouraging the listener to kindness and love and patience. You get a blast beat chorus going on here, double time sections, harmonized solos by Jeff Lewis. Another great song. Syncretize. This song is also another Jeff Lewis co-write. This one talks about the dangers of trying to mix Christianity with other things, whether it's New Age, whether it's this, whether it's that, and a lot of symbolism that you see in today's society kind of gets taken from biblical aspects. I don't want to pick on anybody, but the song talks about don't take my rainbows, don't take my crystals. Rainbows, that's a sign from God to Noah back in the flood days. I'm not sure where the crystals comes from off the top of my head, but you get the idea. There's another great solo here by Jeff Lewis. Um, let's see. Um, Longest track on the album. It's about 6.5 minutes long. Good chord riffing rocker. I take that back. Not a harmonized solo on this, but still great Jeff Lewis licks on this album. Next song, The Other Side of the Coin. This one is a co-write by Adam Zaffarisi and Lincoln Bowen. So this was probably a leftover track from The Silver Cord is Severed. This is kind of a slower grinder contrast between that flip of a coin. Whether heads, it's one thing, tails, it's another. I always remember the story of my dad when he and a buddy when he was in the Marines. It they were told one of you has to go to Korea, the other one has to stay behind for schooling and teaching and things of that nature. And he said it came down to a flip of a coin. And unfortunately, his buddy lost because he wound up going to the Korea, and subsequently lost his life in Korea during the Chosin battle in the winter of 1950. Anyway, so yeah, you have the one side where you have a transformed life. You have the other side where you just keep living life, and you give into your moral flesh and kind of things of that nature. It goes from grinding to thrash, maybe a little on the longer side, repeats itself a little bit. Altar of God. This is a another song, staying true to your faith. Another hard rocking, good head bobbing track. Goes from rocking to slow to rocking. Nice blast beat thing here again in the chorus, which was Adam like bringing that aspect into the band. Sorrow, another very long, slow emo like opening into kind of a heavy grinding groove. Constant need for Christ when you're taken in to the lowest points of your life, basically. You're never alone, never. Um, but it kind of repeats itself here a couple of times, but it tries to hammer that point home. Three of a Kind, another spirited rocker about the Holy Trinity. This is a great song. Arm the Anointed. This is another grinder calling for the people to just calling for the people to arm themselves with that power of Christ and put that armor of God on. This is a very well-known theme that Steve talks about in his songs. Another good, tasty Jeff solo here. Um, New York Skies. This is a song about 9/11. Again, calling the people to bond together in Christ to fight the evil enemy. A good riff rocker here. And then the last song, Apocalyptic Terror, another Jeff co-write. This was where Steve just pulls out the dark death metal vocal here and just goes for it. This is a very heavy, very thrashy, very energetic song to end the album with. Um, Again, this one talks about revelations and the horrors that people will experience during the times of revelation. All you need to do is read the Book of Revelations and you'll get the idea. Now, the vinyl that Soundmass put out in 2021, excuse me, this actually doesn't have, there's two songs missing from this version. Arm the Anointed and Sorrow have been cut out of this album. Um, Still, this is a very good version to have. I love both the CD and the vinyl version. Originally, this was also released on on a label called KMG that was kind of came out through the States. And KMG was one of those labels where they took some classic Christian metal albums and they did like a twofer. So they did like a twofer with the band Deliverance. They did it with Blood Good, Mortification. Although I don't have that version. I think it was of the first two albums. And I believe even Vengeance Rising got that treatment too. And there might be others. I don't hold me to that. Um, anyway, very strong album. I can't put this in the Megjellic area yet because he really doesn't play on it. But this album stands alone as a very powerful album, and it's really gotten to be one of my favorites. So I really appreciate that album. Now, before I go into their next album for next week, Brain Cleaner, one of the other things that Steve Rowe did with KMG is they did a compilation album here called Power and Pain 10 years 1990 to 2000. Power, Pain and Passion 10 years 1990 to 2000. So what do we have on this one out on this album? So we've got 12 main tracks plus four extra bonus tracks. You've got Human Condition from Post Momentary Affliction, Toxic Shock from Primitive Rhythm Machine, Death Requiem from the Scrolls of the Megaloth album, Martyrs from Hammer of God, Satan's Doom from the first album, the Mortification album, Hammer of God Live from 10 Years Live Not Dead, Scrolls of the Megaloth Live from Live Planetarium, Mephibosheth Live from the Live Without Fear EP, Buried into Obscurity from Vision Evangeline, Monks of the High Lord from Blood World, At War with War from Triumph of Mercy, and Illusion of Life from the Break the Curse 1990 album. Also features four acoustic tracks. So imagine acoustic Mortification here. Um, they do Metal Blessing, which was done live at the Seaside Festival in Norway in 2001. In fact, the next track is also done there, Standing at the Door of Death. Um, from Both those songs were from Silver Cord is Severed. Your Life from Blood World. This was done on June 30th of 2000 at the Radio 3 FM in Holland. And the next track was also done there, which was Grind Planetarium from the Post Momentary Affliction album. So there you go. So a little extra bonus album there. Great stuff to talk about. Looking forward to talking about Brain Cleaner next week because I like that's also another favorite of mine. And so looking forward to getting into the Mick Jelinek era. So what are you guys thinking about the Mortification series? I appreciate you all who do watch this. So like, share, subscribe, you know all the things. Hit the like button, subscribe button, you know what to do. John Clauser, Johnny Metal, the Metal Dad saying, rock forever, y'all. We'll see you next week for Brain Clear. Take care, everybody.